Good morning, everyone. So recently we concluded the nasscom Design and Engineering Summit in October. To take the discussions forward, we are connecting with industry leaders, and today I'm here with Dr. GVV Ravi Kumar, Vice President and Head, Advanced Engineering Group at Infosys. Welcome, Dr. Ravi.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Vandhana. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thanks. Great meeting you as well. So we know that the mobility industry is actually undergoing disruptive innovation, and it is driven by three forces of technology, policy, and regulations and market demand. So it is no longer about traveling from one point to another, but the industry is actually going through significant and rapid changes. So various technological innovations are driving the future of mobility, and regulations are also incentivizing the transformation through subsidies and encouraging sustainable transportation and expanding of the network as well. And at the same time, businesses and consumers are also fueling the demand for cleaner, efficient, connected, and sustainable transportation. So, in the past decade, Dr. Ravi, I'll pose my first question to you. That in the past decade, we have witnessed, the four key changes that the mobility sector has been undergoing, and that is like micro mobility, shared mobility, autonomous driving, proliferation of digital technologies and SDVs as well, and also electrification. Now we have witnessed that Infosys has actually programs and projects across each of these aspects. So can you share some key projects or initiatives that have already been undertaken or are in the process as well? So your comments, Dr. Ravi.
Well, thank you, Vandana. First of all, thanks a lot for this wonderful opportunity. Yeah, as you rightly mentioned, there are many technological um, disruptions that are happening, and automotive industry, more specifically, is adopting a lot of this, and also it itself in the phase of evolution, right? And definitely the points that you mentioned, whether it is the micro mobility part of it, or electrical, or autonomous, or HDVs, these are the key technologies that are driving the automotive industry. Yes, we see a lot of traction in this particular space. So more specifically, if you look at, we have been traditionally working on mechanical, electrical, electronics, and other software development projects. And earlier, it used to be a lot of mechanical product development and electrical or core engineering product development work that we used to do. Now, the boundaries are getting thinner and thinner. So lot of software got into the vehicle. And because of that, there are many other services that are happening, right? Whether it is in the engineering space, right, the vehicle development side of it, or in the manufacturing side, or in the operations and the maintenance side of it, the entire product value chain, right? So one thing is in the product development, yeah, the electric vehicles are becoming a kind of next line of technology that is happening. And if you look at in the product development side, you need to do a lot of these battery simulations, right? So whether it is the CFD, the computational fluid dynamics simulations, or the CAE simulations work, they're all related to the battery management, and also the electric propulsion, all the connecting systems and subsystems. So that's where we see a lot of traction. And in the manufacturing side, you can see a lot of this manufacturing execution system, the Industry 4.0 and related areas need to adopt to this new technology that is basically the connected electric mobility side of it. That's where we see a lot of traction. And also in terms of the other specific things in terms of the operations and the maintenance side of it, whether it is the diagnostics and prognostics, vehicle health management side of it, or the telematics related work. So we see good amount of traction. And of course, autonomous mobility as such is a big thing, right? So we are seeing a lot of traction there. And in fact, we ourselves have built our own autonomous vehicles. The project that we started as a student project to learn more about these autonomous technologies. Later, it has led to development of autonomous platform, and we built along with Mini, the India's first autonomous golf cart, which was launched, and currently it is in the market, right? And associated technologies, in the sense whether it is the highway vehicles or the off-highway vehicles, right? More specifically, something like the utility segment and also the manufacturing shop floor, not only taking people from point A to point B, but to take material from point A to point B autonomously, moving it in things like that. So that's where we see a lot of traction. And also the software defined vehicles, because vehicle is becoming more and more a kind of bigger computer or a high performance computer connecting to various ECUs, right? And also it need to have a very big complete end-to-end operating system software, the system software, which is driving all these hardware. So that is another important area for us, which we are seeing it. And the associated work in the enterprise, more specifically the fleet management, dealer management kind of system that we have been developing for our customers, more specifically the platforms. So that's where we see a lot of traction. And definitely this entire space being technology driven, and we being a kind of system integrator, software service providers, and a B2B segment service provider, we see a lot of traction in this particular area. Vandhana.
Got it, Dr. Ravi. And thank you so much for sharing about each of these, changes as well, and each of these initiatives as well that you had mentioned. So, in your, previously you had mentioned about autonomous systems and how, we have seen that, Infosys also has many solutions across, which are specifically targeting autonomous systems. And you had shared one of the examples as well. So I wanted to check was that, how do you foresee this market growing, specifically the autonomous systems? And is it too futuristic still? Or, is it actually, do we foresee some good case studies as well? And what exactly are some of the case studies or use cases or some of the top stories that we can, see at Infosys? Yeah.
Okay. No, thanks, Vandana. That's a very, very interesting question. In fact, if you look at this entire autonomous space, right, the SAE International, which is a premier body developing standards, they developed some of those initial framework in terms of level 1 to level 5. Level 1 being the manual, level 5 being fully autonomous at any given environment and any given geography, right? So while level 5 is a kind of distant future, right? It takes quite a good amount of time, but the vehicles are adopting these autonomous technologies at a phased environment. Of course, there are two big players in this particular segment. One is the traditional automotive OEMs and the tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, who are very good from a mechanical core engineering perspective, and they are trying to acquire the software capabilities, and they are trying to improve their vehicles. And of course, most of the vehicles have these advanced driver assistance system features, the ADAS features. So from ADAS is more like a level 1, level 2, level 3 kind of thing. They're trying to move up the value chain, right? Then the other tech companies, right, and in the sense they were looking at, okay, this could be a kind of complete disruptor, and they are trying to push from a technology side, and more specifically the software and associated digital technologies, right? These are the two groups that I can see. Of course, those groups can be, you can think about the Googles and things like that, right? So while this is being there, what we need to do is we need to look at this entire segment holistically, right? In a way, both highway vehicles as well as off-highway vehicles, right? So that is what we need to see holistically. And also, each of these industries needs a certain amount of autonomy. You don't need level 5 vehicles for all these segments, right? So if you look at a manufacturing shop floor, right? So all the AGVs, autonomous guided vehicles that you see there, they they don't run at a high speed, 70 kilometers per hour and 18 kilometers per hour kind of thing scenario you won't get. It is a controlled environment, right? And so what probably you may require is level 3.5, level 3 kind of vehicles. May be good enough for them to solve the problems, right? So that is what we have targeted. In fact, if you look at it, the autonomous golf cart, so the golf carts, they run in a controlled environment. I don't know, Vandana, you might have seen some of our beautiful campuses. We have large campuses and we have beautiful buildings. And moving from one building to the other building, it takes a good amount of time. So we use the Minis golf carts to take our customers from building one to building two, one building to the other building, right? So that's where we said, okay, why don't we pull out one of this golf cart and make it retrofit kind of thing, and then move the vehicle from one building to the other building. So that is what our initial project started. So we put certain lidars, cameras, and other sensors, and also we built a drive-by-wire system which we have retrofitted and started moving the vehicle in smaller speeds. Like initially we started with 3 kilometers per hour, 4 kilometers per hour, and things like that. Now we have a capability to move the vehicle at a speed of 15 kilometers per hour, right? And it is running in a controlled environment from point A to point B. It uses some of the lidars and camera technologies, and it is pretty well. It is in a very good shape. And later, Maini came and then saw the vehicle, and then he wanted to take it to market. That's when we jointly enriched that vehicle. The vehicle that you develop for R&D purpose is different, and the vehicle that you want to take it to market is different. The Indian market is very, very hypersensitive to the cost. So you need to reduce the cost. You need to reduce the BOM, right? More specifically, some of the white elephants like lidars and all, which are pretty costly, you need to reduce the dependency on the lidars and try to utilize alternate technologies. And we have optimized the BOM and make it very, very competitive. And then we launched that particular vehicle. So while that particular vehicle has SAE level 3.5 autonomous capability, we said, why don't we look at in the manufacturing shop floor? That's where we started looking at some of the logistics that our partner Maini is using. They have tow trucks, they have smaller vehicles which move material from point A to point B. So we did adopt the same technology to those vehicles. We retrofitted it. Now we have two product lines, autonomous tow truck and autonomous mobile robot, which are essentially to take material. Like autonomous tow truck, it can take 5-ton capacity material from point A to point B. Autonomous mobile robot, it can take 1-ton material from point A to point B. So while it has implications in the manufacturing shop floor, we see a lot of those options in the warehouses. More specifically, the logistics and retail side of it. Some of the robots that are there, pick and place kind of robots. So it's very, very relevant. Similarly, in the off-highway vehicles, the agriculture side, right? So there also, you can see some of these vehicles. So in fact, we are running one R&D project called 5Z Natural in Germany, where we are taking one of the potato harvesting machine, sweet potato harvesting machine, and we are moving these vehicles. Unlike India, Germany has a huge size farms, right? So these farms are being harvested by multiple machines, that harvesting machines. So all these machines have to coordinatedly work together to complete the task of the harvesting a sweet potato. So we are deploying our swarm technology, our autonomous technology, and also our partners are bringing the 5G related technologies. And then we have done a kind of initial proof of concept how this entire vehicles system can coordinatedly work together to perform a particular job, right? So those are some of the things that are there, and more specifically in agriculture, in remote parts where 5G connectivity is a challenge, and also the people, the workforce. I mean, not only in Germany, now India, we are going to face a lot of labor shortage problems, more specifically some of those remote villages and all. So we can use some of these technologies, robotic technologies, and autonomous technologies to solve some of those problems. So what I'm telling is, don't look at only one particular segment of highway vehicles of the high speed, but all these segments are equally important. And as the technology matures, right, now you will be able to mature the vehicles as well. So it is a feeder of the technology for the larger vehicles. That's what I'm seeing, and that is going to happen in future. And this is entirely a ecosystem has to come together. The hardware has to be more and more cost effective, and more hardware is being manufactured that will become cost effective. The software technologies have to mature further. The AI, more specifically, AI is getting mature on a day-to-day basis, if not a month-to-month basis. So as we move and enrich these technologies, this entire space is going to improve a lot. And whatever we build today, the software architectures or anything, you need to make sure that these technology changes are embedded into the architecture. So that's what one need to look at it. That's what is going to happen in future.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Ravi, for that, really great case examples as well in the off-highway and other sectors as well. So it's not just limited to mobility as such, but across, all across as well. So, you have also touched upon, and also we have also witnessed that how, a very key element of disruption has been the heavy dependence on software and digital technologies, especially, specifically in the automotive industry. We have seen, a sudden rise of, not exactly sudden, but a sustained rise in software-defined vehicles as well. So how do you think this sector is developing? And, during COVID, we had also witnessed fluctuations in the semicon industry as well. So how do you think now, with the increased rise of software-defined vehicles, how is that, how do the fluctuations in semicon, how are they affecting the SDV market? And as such, how is the SDV market sort of developing in India and across the world as well?
Yeah, Vandhana, this is also another important question that the industry is looking towards, right? Software-defined vehicles is going to be the future. The entire vehicle, if you look at, we can define this entire thing into two broad categories. That is basically over the hood and under the hood. So over the hood, in the sense, the vehicle gets connected to the cloud and then associated ecosystem, right? And the other one is under the hood, the core vehicle controller units, so that are getting connected, and then they are being operated by a computer or a software a device, right? So these are the two broad things. One is the over the hood. More or less now every vehicle is connected, right? Whether it is connected through your mobile or through the other device, it's a fairly well penetrated now compared to a few years back, right? And we are all using all the navigation services to move from point A to point B. Otherwise, driving in Bangalore roads itself is a tough for me. I'm utilizing that utility. Of course, many of you, the smarter kids, you have much more users, much bigger users of that particular segment. The other one is under the hood related stuff. So here also a lot of things that are happening. More specifically, SDV is going to influence that under the hood part of it. Right? More specifically, the abstraction of this execution logic from the existing ECUs to a high performance computer. Right? That is one part of it. Then the second one is grouping of all these related ECUs, right, as domain or a zonal controllers, right, in a kind of aggregator. Right? This could be a powertrain domain controller or infotainment domain controller and things like that. Right? The third one is the complete end-to-end operating system software, right, which is essentially the hardware abstraction to middle layer to the end user applications. So that's where the lot of these things is going to happen. So these are the three major components that are going to drive. And definitely, the core OEMs, they are trying to catch up the software capabilities, And the tech companies, they are playing a lot of a big role as a system integrator, as a technology service provider to the OEMs and the tier 1, tier 2 suppliers. That's where a lot of these things are going to happen. And if you look at the complete the semiconductor industry, of course, we are in the catch-up game, India, and of course, government of India has taken a conscious decision. And I mean, there are many numbers that you can see the kind of investments that are going on in this particular segment. I mean, I'm just seeing some of those 70,000 plus crores kind of investment that is going on, and that will help to drive this system on chip related development, right? This system on chip will have an immense impact on the heart of this domain and zonal controllers and the central vehicle control unit, right? And also, the industry, it's basically the OEMs also look at the vertically integrated segment, right? So where they have a good control on the chipset and the next level applications and things like that. While that will give them a kind of more independence compared to their supply chain. But yeah, how much they are going to be successful in that particular segment, or it will be a kind of horizontal integration that is going to happen, that we need to see. But these are the things that are going to happen in future.
Got it, got it. Thanks, Dr. Ravi. So, another aspect that we are also looking at is electrification, that being a key industry disruptor. And also, McKinsey also forecasts micro mobility market, which is basically e-bikes, e-scooters, those sort of things. That is pegged at $440 billion. That is expected to reach by 2030. So, it has been, and especially in India, the growth in electric vehicles has been especially encouraging as well. So, how do you see the future, and how do you see these industries also growing in the future? And what more can we all, all the ecosystem players, whether industry or the government or other stakeholders, how can we come together to increase, the EV proliferation as well?
Yeah, so that is another major technology that is impacting us, Vandana. I agree with you. Electrification, it started for quite long in India. If you look at the Reva, the first electric car that was launched by Maini, it was a torch bearer at that time. I mean, a decade back, a kind of scenario. Now, you're seeing a lot of that proliferation. And India, if you look at it, it is fourth largest manufacturer in ICU segment, ICA segment, right? And also fifth largest consumer. I mean, so it's a producer as well as the consumer. We are pretty heavy on that. And more specifically, we use multiple segments, whether it is a two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers. Our diversity is pretty high compared to any other country, right? And more specifically, the micro-mobility segment. That is where a lot of these EVs are going to change or gets penetrated into. In fact, you have seen last few years, 2 to 3 years, I'm seeing a lot of two-wheelers, electric two-wheelers on the market. And yesterday, TVS mentioning they are going to large number of vehicles in that particular segment. Similarly, three-wheelers, you see a lot of these three-wheelers and battery swapping technologies that have come now, similar to the petrol or a gas that you fill in, you're just exchanging the batteries, right? The charged batteries with the uncharged batteries and things like that. So that is going to improve three-wheelers. And of course, the four-wheelers, it is the next segment. So it is easier to get penetrated to the lower, that is two-wheeler to three-wheeler to four-wheeler. That is what is going to happen in India. And of course, we see a lot of four-wheelers as well. But that particular segment is pretty high. Right? And you can see a lot of these Niti Aayog reports, and they say India can save 64% of the energy demand from the road transport. And also that is 7% of the carbon emissions by 2030 if we pursue the electric mobility. I agree with them. I mean, those are all beautiful forecasts that they have. And that gives how much importance that government of India is putting it across.
Yeah.
That is what is going to happen. In fact, this not only the automotive industry, aerospace industry, if you look at now, you see all these drones, they're all being operated by the batteries, right? And the next chunk is the urban air mobility. Okay, so where you'll see a lot of those the battery operated vehicles or the electric propulsion vehicles, and then go to the bigger side of it. So here also the technology is maturing, and newer materials that are coming in, more and more power it is able to push into the industry. And because of that, yes, this is going to change in a big way. So what I believe is, I'm a strong believer of the evolution, technology evolution. Okay, so it is going to further improve. And also more and more the ecosystem players comes into picture, then it becomes like a complete change. It is like you never know when you took off, right?
Yeah.
It's that's how it is going to happen.
True, true. Thanks, Dr. Ravi. And we've talked about all these, all these disruptions, so to say, in much detail, and you have also peppered them with your case studies and your projects that are undergoing in at Infosys as well. So, with all of this happening, the customer also becomes a lot greedy. So they are more demanding, they want more personalized features, they want a maximization of the driving experience as well. So from your experience with respect to working with your clients, what do you think, what have you witnessed with that leading auto OEMs? What are their demands, what are the clients asking, and how has the demand sort of changed over the past few years? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, no, I think this is another important element, more specifically the personalization, right? It has been an increasing trend in the automotive industry. And also we have digitally savvy consumers, right? The younger population, they are demanding more and more these digital lifestyles into the vehicles, right? And that is what we are seeing. Our clients are embracing some of these emerging trends in terms of the software-defined vehicles and on-demand service capability. Right? So these are the few trends that are fueling the paradigm shift from traditional manufacturing to software-based differentiation. Right? And the value to the consumer is also amplified when the ecosystem is integrated. Right? And the network effort comes into play. Right? And that is what we are seeing, and more specifically, the B2B segment is clearly catching on the service-based revenue stream. Okay, and manufacturers are offering their business customers features that increase their productivity, safety, and utilizations, right? Which have a clear impact on business bottom lines. Right? On the personalization front, there is a shift happening from aftermarket customization to vehicles rolling off the production line based on the customer preferences. Right? We are working with the OEMs, the tier ones, and the entire ecosystem in expanding and deepening their software capabilities to take advantage of these shifts in the industry. So that's what is we are focusing on.
Got it. Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi. I mean, we could, take this conversation to another hour, but I'm afraid we're out of time. So thanks a lot for the very, very insightful, answers and the case studies and the examples that you have shared, and a very detailed analysis also based on, you've seen across, your time at Infosys and otherwise as well in the industry. So thanks a lot, for your time, and thank you so much for this conversation. Thanks a lot.
No, thank you. Thanks a lot, Vandhana, for this wonderful opportunity. As we speak, our thoughts are also getting matured and evolved, and hope to see this wonderful, vibrant industry much more stronger in the years to come.
Great thought to end, the conversation here. So thanks so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
thanks a lot. Yeah.